best bites forever.
Hi everyone, it's Chef Alicia, and today I am making relleno de papa, which translates into stuffed potatoes, and this is a really yummy Puerto Rican dish and I hope you love it. So here we go. Let's get started by cutting up some potatoes, which I have of course already washed thoroughly, and I cut mine in half long ways and then like in thirds the other way, and I'm going to do this to a total of 2 pounds of potatoes. It's not incredibly important how you cut them, but that they all come out the same size so that they all cook the same in your pot. Then move them into a large pot of cold water. I have an 8-quart stock pot here, and I'm adding a 1/4 cup of iodized salt and 2 bay leaves. Boil them until they're soft. See, I poked that guy with a fork and he broke right in half. You want them to be soft just like you're making mashed potatoes. And then move them over to a sheet pan to cool. Don't skip this step. While your potatoes are cooling, let's go back over here and get the meat started. So here I have 1 pound of ground beef, and I'm going to add 2 cups of sofrito to that. Now I make my sofrito ahead of time. If you don't know how to make sofrito, then go ahead and click over to that video so that you can see how to make it. It's a combination of garlic, onions, bell peppers, and recao, and it's very delicious. I'm also adding 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And then I'm going to kind of start mashing my meat and my sofrito together so that it can start cooking. And my sofrito is frozen here, so it's going to take me a couple minutes to get it all mashed together, but I will, don't worry. And then I'm going to let it go ahead and cook. And I'm going to cook it until my meat is nice and brown like this and thoroughly cooked, so cooked all the way through, and it should look like this when it's all ready to go. Okay, so turn that off, set it to the side to cool for a few minutes, and we're going to go back over here to the potatoes. So I have moved my nice cool potatoes into a large bowl. I'm just kind of mashing them around a little bit in my bowl before I turn the mixer on because I don't want potatoes flying around my kitchen, so it's just easier to give them a little mash. Okay, so I'm going to mix these up until, not till they're creamy really, because we're going to do a little more mixing here in a minute, but until they're pretty creamy with still a couple chunkies, and then give it a taste. And it's really important that you taste it here because you need to decide if you want more salt and pepper in there or not. They may be fine, it just depends on how salty your water was before. But I went ahead and I'm adding 2 teaspoons of kosher salt and also about another 1/2 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper. I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, which is going to help when we make our little rellenos de papa, and 2 eggs. So get all of that stuff in there and we're going to mix it up. This time when you mix it, we want to get a little bit more of a creamy consistency. But you don't have to mix until every single little chunk is gone because we don't want to over mix. That has a tendency to make your potatoes kind of like have a pasty texture and they're just not as delicious. So when you get them pretty mixed up and pretty creamy with a couple tiny chunks here and there, that's fine. Take a little bit out. Oh, put cornstarch on your hands, very important. Pat it down into a little patty and watch for it to hold together like mine is doing. When it does that, you know that it's ready. If yours doesn't do that and it just falls right apart, add a tiny bit more cornstarch and mix it up again. So now I am ready to roll some of my relleno de papa, and this is really easy. I know this is intimidating for a lot of people, but don't be scared because I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so just put some cornstarch on your hands. That's really, really important because the dough is super sticky. So put some cornstarch on your hands, like a nice, good little coating, and then about 1/2 cup of your potato mixture. Flatten it down on your hands and see how my hand is like in a little cup. That's how you want to hold your fingers, and you're being pretty gentle with these guys. So gentle with your potatoes, okay everyone? Put a spoon of meat in there and kind of mash it down with the spoon, and then you're going to use both of your hands to just kind of pull the potatoes over themselves and close it and seal them up. Once you get him all sealed up, you can kind of roll it into a nice little ball to make it prettier and set him on a plate, because we're going to do a few before we start frying. You don't want to have one little guy in there frying and then like you're trying to roll other ones. It's just too chaotic. So more cornstarch on your hands. Let's do one more. I'm going to flatten some of my potato mixture. Again, I have it mostly on my fingers and not on the palm of my hand, and that's because I want to be able to create that little cradle for my meat pocket. So I'm going to put the meat in there and push it down with the spoon. And again, from the side, this is what my hand looks like. I have like a little cradle thing going on. Use both hands to pull the potato mixture over top of the meat, and your thumbs kind of seal it up. And again, just roll it into a nice pretty little ball. See, just like this. Very, very easy. Make sure you're gentle. Oops, poke. Okay, see, did you see the little thing sticking out there? Just poking back in. They're really soft. They're easy to work with. Don't be scared. So when you have a few, like 5 or so, which is enough to go into your pan, very gently start putting them into your hot oil. I don't have a temperature on this oil, but I'm going to guess it's between 350 and 375. But what you really want to look for here is as you're adding your rellenos de papa into the oil, you want them to have bubbles around them. So you see all the bubbles that I have? That's really what you're looking for. And they're going to cook for a couple of minutes on each side. So after they've been on the one side for a couple minutes, just gently roll them over in the oil. And they're going to take a couple more minutes. You'll be able to tell because they're going to turn that nice, beautiful golden brown. When you see that beautiful golden brown, we're going to remove them from the pan. I put mine onto a lint-free cloth napkin, like the kind that you get in a nice restaurant. I have a bunch of these just for this purpose of draining, when I fry stuff. So I don't really recommend paper towels because they like to stick to paper towels, so you may want to stay away from that. And this is what mine look like. Aren't they pretty? And we'll cut them in half, and that's what they're going to look like. If you would like this recipe, please join me at my website, bestbitesforever.com. Thank you for watching, and happy cooking.
bestbitesforever.com